Hi everyone, welcome to the tutorial to do the Harry Potter Marauders Cup. First off, we should talk supplies. I'm using a 22-ounce tall double-walled stainless steel tumbler. I already have it spray painted and coated white, so we can use our alcohol inks directly on it. I also have a little sprayer filled with 91% proof alcohol. This is going to be important. I like to use the little cosmetic sponges, the little wedges. I need 3. 1 for each brown color and 1 for blending. Then I have the Tim Holtz alcohol inks. This one here is teak. I also have espresso, just in case if I want to make the teak a little darker and mix it together. And then I use latte. This one is the one that I use as the base color for the whole cup before I start adding on the edges. Besides this, we're also going to need clear water slide. The water slide I'm going to be using for this one is this pack right here. It comes from Hobby Lobby. And so let's go print our water slide decal for our cup. So I already have it lined up on the computer. It's on the correct size to be printed for the cup. And this is the little decal that's going to be going on the bottom of this one. So we're going to hit print. And it's going to print out on a regular sheet of paper first, because then I attach this to the sheet and I reprint it out so I know exactly where it needs to go. And oops, accidentally printed 2. But this is what I need for the cup. That's what's going to be going on the bottom. And the printer I like to use is an HP Dusk ink. This happens to be, it's not a laser printer, this is a inkjet printer, which works best for our water slide. So I need to take a sheet out of the package. Water slide's like one of my favorite things to do. It makes things so easy. And it's fun. So I'll put that back away. This is what the sheet looks like. So this is the one that just about anybody can go and buy at Hobby Lobby. The one I usually use, I order off of Amazon, which is this right here. I get 10 sheets of this for $12. They're full size. It's made for inkjet printers. And this, with 10 whole sheets, is actually the same price as this, which only has 6 half sheets in it from Hobby Lobby. So if you want to save money, Amazon. Amazon will be your best friend if you have Prime while ordering supplies. So I need to attach this over this so I can get it printed out. What I like to use is double-sided sticky tape. I just take a couple of pieces and I press it down over the area that's printed out on the paper. So like I put one here and I put one here. This is important. Take this and lay it over where you need it. Make sure it gets covered. And then it's going to look like this. You put this over this. It's just the way I print out water slide when I use the half sheets because it's so much easier. Because my printer can adjust to the size you're using of whatever paper you put in there, but I hate adjusting the dumb printer. It never ends well for me. It usually ends in a paper jam. But just like this, because if you hold this up to the light and look, you can see that it covers the exact area you need. So let's go print the water slide. So make sure when you are putting your sheet with your water slide back in the printer, you put it back down the way it's going to print out. So my printer prints from the tip of the paper backwards, which is exactly what I need it to do. And ta-da! It printed. Now's the fun part. Now we get to take this bad boy outside, and he needs to be clear coated. So this is my little work table out here on the porch. Beauty, right? So this is what I use. This is what we're going to clear coat with. We're going to take this, and we're going to spray over it. I like to spray it twice and then let it sit for about 10 minutes to let it dry. So this next part we can do while our water slide outside with the clear coat on it is drying. We will get to that next. Now it's time to use the alcohol inks on the cups to get to the design that we want. So I'm going to start out with the latte first, because it's the base color I use for the whole cup. The reason I use a latte in these colors in combination is because I wanted to have that old burned parchment paper look that you should get, like a Harry Potter feel to, because, well, I always imagine the Harry Potter people, you know, writing on their parchment with their quills and their paper and everything. And it just makes it fun. Like, I'm not the world's biggest Harry Potter fan, but I wouldn't say that I'm not an avid fan. I don't go overboard like my brother does. But I like to blend in the color, so just spray a little bit of that alcohol on there as you're working throughout. Sometimes I even just directly drip color onto the cup, and then I start patting it around. The whole point is that the cup doesn't have to be perfect. That's kind of the whole point. You want it to have that old parchment look, like it got wet, it's been sitting around. That authentic feeling. Or at least I do anyway. I've seen a couple other styles of this cup done, and one of the ones I thought was really cool was it was done in black and white, kind of like an old newspaper. And I thought that one was pretty awesome. I did. So, spray, cup. And it leaves like these little dot thingies, and you want to hurry before that alcohol dries and sets it in that pattern, unless you want it that way. And then keep dabbing. My sister the other day was telling me, oh, that's not dabbing, that's dabbing. No, that's dabbing. I'm dabbing. Almost there. Like, you will use a lot more ink than you think you will, but the ink in those little bottles goes a really long way. And I actually had a hard time finding the latte color, because it comes in a 3-pack for brown colors, and I literally went to 17 different stores, different visits, and none of them had it until I went up to my last trip to Denver to a Hobby Lobby up there. And for those of you that don't know, I live in the middle of nowhere, so the closest Hobby Lobby in Michaels is 2 hours away. because it's a small town out here, population maybe like 15,000. Like, they're really, like, there's not much out here, not really. And don't forget to do the bottom of the cup. I always do the bottom of the cup in the latte too. I usually don't darken the bottom of the cup with the latte because I always like to add like a little peekaboo Heidi thing on the bottom of the cup, so when people lift it up and look at it, they think it's pretty cool. So this is how I'm going to keep it looking with using the latte. Next up, I'm going to go with the one that I normally use, which is teak. The teak wood isn't super dark. And the fun part is you just do this around the rim of the top and the bottom. You can do it however you want. I like mine to look like spilt coffee or smoke, kind of, around it. I mean, everybody has the way they like their stuff, and like I said, I like mine to look like an old piece of parchment paper that got maybe burned around the edges or, you know, got wet. So I'm going to take one of my other ones, clear, not used, and I'm going to spray alcohol directly onto this. And then I'm going to go around and I'm going to dab and blend in the bottom a little bit. That is going to lighten your color, so like, don't freak out. Because I always do multiple layers on the top and the bottom stuff just because it does weaken your color, and I like mine to be pretty dark around it. There was one that I made and I left it a little lighter and it didn't turn out bad, but it didn't give me that feeling of old paper. And I'm a huge fan of the old paper look. I like vintage, historical kind of things, and to me it just looks like nicer. Like I said, you can do it however you want it. You don't even have to use the brown colors that I'm using. You can use whatever makes you happy. That's kind of like the whole point. Not everybody likes the same color scheme or likes the same way that things are done, and you know what? That's fine. Do it however in the world makes you happy. And it's just that the dark is my happy place. On cups, anyway. And I think at the top, normally I usually do it pretty heavily at the top and I don't leave like a lot of in between. But this time I think I'm only going to do a slight rim all the way around instead of the halfway up like I normally do. Give it a little more freedom, a little more space. What we'll also have to do next, or at least what I do next anyway, I created a file for Mischief Managed that has the little footprints walking around it that I like to add on the back of these cups. And I will have to use my Cameo Silhouette 3. Oops. Dropped it. I will have to use my Silhouette Cameo 3 to cut that out to be able to add it. And, whoop, there goes the other computer. I like to use this bronze color of vinyl that's by Cricut. I actually got it on sale, which is why I bought it. I buy a lot of things when they're on sale. I don't necessarily use them all the time. But let's see. I'll show you. I'll show you. It's this one. I absolutely love this metallic bronze copper color, especially with these cups. It goes magically. So now I just need to blend in the top a little bit. Get a little smudgy. Alright. And that's what we're dealing with. And right here is probably the spot where I'm going to put the water slide, just because I like to leave an opening band. And then back here on the back is where we're going to put the Mischief Managed. So now that this step's done, what I actually do before I do anything else after I do alcohol inks is I seal my cup with the same clear gloss spray that I use on my inked out water slides, just because there's a problem with the brown inks that people like to use. They think, oh, well, it's brown all the way through. No, the browns are made together with base colors. So, like the teak wood that I like to use, it actually bleeds red if it's not sealed. Just like a lot of people, their problem with the espresso, when they use it, if they don't seal, it turns green, like a really weird greeny color. So we're going to go outside now, and we're going to clear coat spray this. Yay! So while our cup is drying from its coat of clear coat spray, I'm going to peel this off the printout sheet. The best part is about the double-sided sticky tape. The back is fine. And then I can save the rest of this sheet, and I can actually use it later for another water slide that I'm working on. Got a couple projects going on, if you can't tell. So you want to cut them out separately. This is the little owl that's going to be going on the bottom of the cup. And this is our Marauders map. So I like to try and cut out some of the extra around the edges, around the water slide. It just makes it easier instead of having one giant big chunky piece to put on, which is a pain. Trust me, it's a pain to try and put on. So those are cut out, those are ready to go. I need to go get one of my small Tupperware containers full of water. I use warm water. Hot water and cold water tend to do weird things to your paper. So give me a second, I'll be right back. So this is how I like my setup for when I'm putting stuff on a cup. I like to lay my cup on top of that so it doesn't move or rotate too much. This is my water. I've got my stuff. We're set to go. Let's do this. So you need to put your water slide in your water. It is going to curl up, so you have to hold it down until it'll stay down by itself. It usually takes maybe like 30 seconds or so for this one to start peeling off of its paper. But as soon as it starts peeling off of its paper, we are going to move it over and put it on our cup. So I'm going to set y'all guys down while this is happening. Depending on what water slide you use, it could take longer, could take less. I think on that package, the instructions inside say like a couple of minutes. That's not always the case, and I have this cool little tool thing that I use for weeding, but I also use it to help me straighten out my water slide. I got that at Hobby Lobby too. And at Hobby Lobby, I mean, really, it's only like a couple of bucks. Like, it ain't even that big of a deal. And when I do water slide, it's important that I pull it straight up out of the water, otherwise the edges curl and it causes problems, because your water slide is basically like a temporary tattoo made on plastic, and it really can become a pain in the butt when it wants to curl around the edges, because let's be honest, there's no one who's watching this video, if you've used water slide, you haven't had problems with it, like some type of problem in the very least. Because mine is curling around the edges, and I hate it when it does that, because that's when I take my little tool in for and I uncurl it. If you have curly edges with your water slide, you're going to be asking for a whole lot of trouble when you epoxy that cup. A whole lot of trouble. I like to smooth mine out as I go, making sure I got most of the water out from underneath it. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing very well, but I'm smoothing it out. And since some of my edges did wrap up, what I'm going to do, because I don't always want to unravel, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to very carefully go down this edge that has that stuff rolled off, and I'm going to cut it. And I'm pull it off so I have a smooth edge. Because it's not going to hurt you if you have to cut a little bit off to get what you want. It's not going to hurt anything at all if you just have to clean up your edges, which I know is cheating. There are people out there who can do this without having to clean up their edge, but when you're working with bigger water slide designs that cover like a whole front of a cup, and it's not always that easy to lay it on. There are gonna be those, well, water slides easy. It's easy on like really, really good days. When you're not having to mess with the edges that want to curl up because they got a little water inside of them and they ain't happy about where they're going. There we go. Smooth that bad boy down. Looks a million times better. Can't even see that edge. Because if you have crinkled up edges with your water slide and they stick up and you can feel them, if you can feel that your water slide is not flat, when you put on your epoxy, it doesn't matter how many coats you're going to put on, it is going to look like absolute trash. Because I have one cup that I did and I didn't clean up my edges when I was doing my water slide, and it turned out absolutely horrible. It was a nightmare. You could see all the edges that were slightly curled, and I'd pressed down and I'd covered with epoxy, and it's just so much easier to clean up after yourself before you actually do anything. And I also like to take the rag and make sure I go over it. Sorry there guys, didn't realize that it had cut me off. But after cleaning up your edges and putting on your water slide, this is what you should end up with for your cup for the moment. And yeah, you can see the edge over here, but don't worry, as soon as you get on that first coat of epoxy, you won't even notice. So the next step I'm actually going to go to is to put a coat of epoxy on this. And then after the epoxy, tomorrow I will add on the little footsteps that go on the back that say Mischief Managed, as little footprints that walk all the way around it. But this is basically it for today. That's the main part of your cup. I mean, I add the little footsteps on the back just because I want to. You guys can obviously add a name, a monogram. I mean, if you want to add a different style of Mischief Managed, I mean, it's all personal preference, up to you guys. So, pretty sure I don't have to explain to you guys how your epoxy works. You know, you mix part 1, a part A, and part 1, a part B. Stir it, let it sit, let the bubbles come out. Other than that, I'm going to mix my epoxy and put it on the cup. Alright, so epoxy is on. I have to plug in my beautiful little turner. And there it goes. So this will probably turn on the turner for 4 to 6 hours before I take it off to put it on the drying rack. And then probably 2-3 hours after that, I'll do a finger test, which a lot of people hate. Stick your finger to it and still see if it's dry or not. But you guys, that's how you make the Harry Potter cup. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, you guys. That's how I make my version of the Harry Potter Marauders cup. Feel free to experiment. Feel free to add your own twist and do it whatever way you want. That's what makes it fun. Thanks for watching.